Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the For the Win podcast. So great to be with you here today. As always, I'm Max.
I'm Chris.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm Brandon.
Also with us on the show today is former 10-year NFL safety Glover Quin. Glover, thank you so much for coming on. We're huge fans. We're so excited for you to be with us today.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
It's going to be a great show. We got some great questions. We got rapid fire questions, fan questions. You know how it goes. I'm going to start it off. Glover, you played college football at New Mexico and also at Southwest Mississippi Community College. So playing at these small schools, did you feel it was difficult drawing attention from the NFL teams?
No question. Especially where I'm from, small town Mississippi. It was hard to get college's attention. Going to JUCO route, not because I didn't have grades, but because I just didn't get the attention. So I had to go JUCO. Went to JUCO, and I only played in like 8 games in my 2 seasons at JUCO because I had an injury, and then we had Hurricane Katrina. And just trying to get noticed by, D1 school or a 4-year college. I don't know if you guys check out Last Chance U that's on Netflix or stuff like that, but I mean that's real life. Kids in JUCO just trying to get another opportunity, and so for me it wasn't about the grades. So I wasn't one of those kids that was there because I didn't have grades. I always had my grades. It was just trying to get the recognition, and so coming out of JUCO, my grades is actually what helped me because I was able to graduate mid-year, so I was eligible to leave. And then once they matched that with some film and different things like that, it was like, okay, well, we can give them a try. And then obviously going to New Mexico, same thing, right? Small school, not one of the powerhouse schools. So you're just trying to do everything you can to show that you can play with the powerhouse teams. And so when you do play against the big schools, you had to make sure that you had good games, but then also you had to make sure that you dominated when you played against the smaller schools. So it was definitely difficult. It was definitely it was tough, but it all worked out. I learned a lot. I had some great experiences, met a lot of great people. So I wouldn't I wouldn't change my path.
Yeah, your journey was definitely something special. It shows how much effort and love for the game you put in.
Oh yeah, I mean, I dealt with so many different things. I mean, one of the biggest things I would say probably was just leaving home. I left Mississippi, and I went 16, 17 hours to Albuquerque, New Mexico to go to school. And, doing that at the age of 20, a lot of people probably wouldn't do it. A lot of kids want to stay closer to home or things like that. But I wanted to play Division I football, and I didn't want that to stop me. I dealt with injuries, all types of things, man. And I think if you talk to anybody that made it to the league, they'll probably have some type of similar story. You have to deal with a lot of adversity, overcome a lot of things, go through all the ranks. You have to do all that stuff, and it's difficult. And the ones that can survive it, the ones that can persevere through it, those are the ones that can make it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's all well worth it because just a couple of years later, you got drafted by the Texans in the 4th round. So just take us through that moment and how special it was for you and your family.
It was awesome, man. Just kind of sitting there. Like I said, I didn't really know what was going to happen. Going through the draft process, I got a late invite to the East-West Shrine game, but I got an invite as a safety instead of a corner, which I played corner in college. So I went to the East-West game, and it was actually in Houston. I went there as a safety, and did what I had to do, and then I got invited to the combine. Went to the combine, and I did some of the things that I needed to do. I ran well. I tested well for what I was, and I was just kind of checking all the boxes from a scout standpoint of, he's probably not the most dynamic athlete that we've seen. But as far as everything else goes, he's definitely somebody that we can feel like we can take a chance on. He's smart. He's reliable. He's physical. He's gonna, play hard. He's gonna do all those things. So, he's definitely somebody, hasn't been in trouble. It's definitely somebody that we can give a shot to. And so I had projections all the way from, a second round at one point, third round through sixth round. I had all types of projections. So I didn't really know. And back then, it was only 2 days of the draft. It was day one and then it was day two. And so I think day one was only the first and second round. And then day two was 3 through 7. And so I went fourth round on day two. So I remember getting a call from the Texans in the third round, and they told me that they were gonna, they had plans of taking me with their fourth round pick. And you hear a lot of those stories about how they say they're gonna draft you and they don't draft you, or things come up, you just never know what happened. And so I was like, all right, and I'm sitting around waiting. And then I look up and I see the Texans had 2 fourth-round picks. They had the 112th pick and they had the 122nd pick. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, man. Because you're just sitting there waiting, man. It's a long process, and you just, you're waiting for the call the whole entire time, man. You're just waiting for your phone to go off. And like I said, I remember the Texans were on the clock, and I'm sitting there looking because I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know when they call you. I don't know anything. And so I'm just sitting there on the couch, and they're on the clock, and I'm looking at the TV, and I'm keep looking at my phone. I don't see anything. I'm just like, oh heck, man. And then it was about 2 minutes and 36 seconds, I think, left on their clock. And my phone started going off, and I looked at it, and it was an 832 number. I was like, oh, snap. This must be it. So I answered the phone, and there was a GM. I think it was a GM. Somebody. I can't remember. Like I said, I told this story on my channel, and it's like it's all a blur. I remember them asking me, if I wanted to be a Texan, and I'm just like, of course, and everything after that is just a blur. I remember Coach Kubiak getting on the phone, but I don't remember anything he said. I don't really remember anything after that. And so, it was just one of those moments that was special, man. And, I was there with my family, and, I'll never forget it, but it was definitely a long 2 days.
I mean, after hearing all of that, I feel like I was with you in that moment. So you got drafted by the Texans. You got kind of thrown into football right away. So what was the hardest thing about transitioning from college football to the elite play of the NFL?
I would say the hardest thing probably just playing against the best players in the world. That's probably the hardest thing, because, like I said, the game for me was easy from a mental standpoint. So transitioning, learning playbooks, coverages, all that stuff pretty much came easy to me. And like my work ethic, going through JUCO and the route that I went, I had a work ethic, working hard. I was always an early guy. And so that stuff didn't bother me. I remember being in college. We would have 6 a.m. practices, 6:30 practices, and I would be walking on the field to start warming up, and it would be guys still driving up just to get ready for practice. So I was always an early guy. So from that standpoint, the transition wasn't tough. I was always about my business. But I would just say probably just, going out and competing with and against the best guys in the world. You lining up against, when I first came out, Randy Mosses and Larry Fitzgerald's and TJ Hushmanzada's, and practicing against Andre Johnson, and, so many things like that, playing against these quarterbacks, Tom Brady. And I mean, it was just Peyton Manning was in our division, and so for me, that was probably the biggest transition, just making sure that my game was at the highest level week in and week out to compete.
Yeah, moving on. You played your first career game in the Texans season opener, so the atmosphere must have been intense. And you played against the New York Jets. So take us through the moment you stepped onto the field.
You know, that first game was crazy. It was a home opener for us in Houston. It was white out, so we were in all white. The fans had on had white shirts on, white towels. It was a very, 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 very live atmosphere. Um, and me, that's my first game, so I'm nervous, and but you're just trying to play, you're feeding off the emotion of the crowd, you're feeding off the emotion of it being opening day, and I mean, you walk on that field and you just got to revert back to everything that you've trained for, everything that you've learned, because when you're out there playing and you got 80,000 people screaming, if you can't lock in and focus and think about, your job and the techniques that you need to play, it's gonna be tough on you. And so for me, man, I was just happy to run on the field. I started in special teams and I was the nickel. So I was really only playing defense in sub situations or third downs, things like that. But running out there on special teams, running down, covering kicks, it was fun, man. It was fun. It was a crazy experience. I mean, I loved opening day every year, and probably was because my first opening day in the league was at home. And so I got a great, great, great feel for opening day. Even though we lost that game, it was still just a crazy experience. And, just to be able to run out on the field opening day in the NFL, to be like, you know what, I made it through college. I made it past preseason. I made the actual 53-man roster. I made the actual 46-man game day roster, and now I'm actually on the field. So that was just incredible time for me.
So you briefly talked about getting mentally prepared for the game. I think that's a good example of, besides the physical aspect of football, is also a mental side and how you have to get prepared for the game. And like you said, playing in front of 80,000 plus people a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mental aspect, we used to always say the mental to the physical is like 9 to 1 or 10, something like that, because the the mental side of the game is what separates guys. You have the higher you the goal and the more guys you play against, you're gonna realize that everybody is talented once you get to a certain level. Everybody is good. Everybody can run. Everybody can hit. Everybody can play. I mean, even you know, they're all good. The thing that separates a lot of guys is the mental, especially on defense. But even on the offense, you've heard some of those elaborate play calls from quarterbacks and things like that. To be able to remember all that stuff, right? Offense is generally probably called 2 plays, and so to be able to understand what's going on, hear what the quarterback is saying. You got the crowd going crazy. Now you got to go out and you got to execute. You got to understand the route that I'm running against. Okay, this is the coverage that they're in. Coach, the quarterback made a check, so now we check to the next play. Oh, I got to remember what was the other play that he called in the huddle. Oh, okay, so now this is my route, but this they playing this coverage. Well, this is my adjustment to that route. I mean, it's a lot. I got to remember. I got to go in motion. Oh, I need to line up 2 yards on top of the numbers. I got to line up on the hash on this play. And then defensively, you come out and you have a play called and you have all your assignments. And then all of a sudden somebody motions and it's like, oh, snap. Okay, I was supposed to do this. Well, now this guy motioned. So now I'm supposed to do this. We were playing cover 2, but once he motioned over, now we're in cover 3. And the game moves so fast, and that's why you see teams go hurry up offense. That's why you see teams do a lot of motions and shifts and things like that, because they know on defense you have to communicate all that stuff, and all it takes is one person to think that they're playing cover 2 when you're really playing cover 3, and next thing you know, you don't have a deep safety. You don't have a deep corner on that outside third, and the wide receiver just running down the field wide open. Now you got DBs looking at each other like, that's what they do it for. So the mental part of the game is so much more than the physical part, and just preparing yourself for all those things. We used to always say, when you get in the heat of battle, you don't rise to the occasion. You sink to the level of your training. And I feel like that's physical and that's mental. Your mental training, your mental stability, and your physical training. That's where you're gonna sink to when it gets tough and you're in the middle of a game, 80,000 people screaming. That's what you're gonna revert back to. So the mental is probably the biggest part of the game.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's also interesting how you refer to there being 80,000 people in the stands. And of course, that may not be the case this year. So definitely it's going to be a different NFL for, I think, a lot of the rookies like yourself. And speaking of you being a rookie, was there a mentor or someone who was a veteran that kind of took you under their wing when you first got to Houston?
Nah, man, and that's what's crazy. I didn't really have that mentor that kind of took me under their wings, and that's why I do feel like my journey and the things that I went through and my personality really helped me out, because my rookie year, the starting corner, the top corner was Dante Robinson. Dante Robinson was a first round draft pick out of South Carolina. He was a defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, something like that. He's a good player, really good player. And, he was in his contract year when I came out. And so he was holding out. And so when I got there for OTAs, mini camp, training camp, Dante wasn't there. And when he came back, he showed up basically week 1 of the season, and, he started opening day on his cleats. He put on his cleats, pay me Rick, because Rick was the general manager. He wanted to get paid. And that was just kind of how his year was. He was a good guy, very nice, cool, but his mindset at the time wasn't on mentoring me. His mindset was on getting paid and being upset with the organization because they didn't pay him, didn't go, you know what I'm saying? That was his mind frame. And so I didn't really have someone that was just, walking me through the game, how to be a pro, how to study, all those things. But like I said, I was kind of like that already, so I was just kind of doing those things just because I naturally done it. And so going into my second year, they let Dante go. They let basically all the veteran corners that we had, they let all of them go. And I was the veteran corner in the room in my second year. And we drafted Kareem Jackson in the first round. So we had me as a as a second year guy, fourth rounder. And we had Kareem Jackson as a first year guy, first rounder. And those were our 2 starting corners. And, I was basically the one that was, leading the corner group as a second year guy. So I've just kind of learned a lot through trial and error, man. And like I said, a lot of it is just my personality, a lot of experiences that I've been through, things that I've done, and just kind of learned throughout the years.
Yeah, I mean, you just spoke about your second year in Houston. You were the top guy, and you actually stepped up huge. You got things going. You started all 16 games, had 3 interceptions, 14 pass defenses, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 85 tackles. What do you think led to your success in your second year?
I think it was more so just playing, man. That season right there for me was kind of what I looked for in a season. For me, I never went into a season with number goals. The only number that I really had in my mind was 16, and that was I want to try to be on the field all 16 games. I want to play every single game, and I felt like if I can stay healthy and play in all the games, then the stats, the numbers will come. I'll be on the field. I'll make plays, and 85 tackles. When you think about it, if you just average 5 tackles a game for a defensive back, that's a lot of tackles, 5 a game, and that'll put you at 80 on the year. People don't think about that, but 80 tackles is a lot of tackles. 14 pass breakups, okay, 3 picks, fumble recovery. So one of my goals and things that I do is I'm like, you know what, I want to try to make one impact play every game, whether that be a pass breakup, interception, sack, forced fumble, fumble recovery, third down stop. I want to try to do something at least once a game.
I mean, just
60 plays once a game, and then by the end of the year, you'll have a stat line kind of like that: 85 tackles, 3 or 4 picks, 4 or 5 to 10 pass breakups, couple fumble recoveries, maybe a forced fumble, and you look at that stuff over the course of a career, it adds up.
Great mindset.
you only missed one game in your entire 10-year career, which is remarkable. So congratulations on that. And
Appreciate it,
I'm
man.
just wondering, how much truly went into that and keeping your body healthy and ready before the games, after the games, just throughout the entire career.
Oh man, it was a ton, man. It was a lot, a lot of treatment, a lot of everything, a lot of discipline, a lot of training. Um, and I did a lot of things to help my body. And I think the training part of it, obviously the treatment and taking care of it, and the cold tubbing and the hot tubbing and the massages and the stretching and all those different things definitely help. But training, pushing my body to the limit during the off season, I mean, all those things, the good Lord, man. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing, man. Just him keeping me safe, because I definitely had some injuries, and I was able to play through them. And that's just kind of how I was my whole life, man. I never liked missing games. So even I remember in my first year at JUCO, I broke my arm in the third quarter of a game, and I finished the game.
Wow.
And I actually went the whole next week of practice with a broken arm, and it hurted like heck. I ain't gonna sit here and lie about it. And the only reason why I went to the doctor is because we had a hurricane supposed to be coming that next weekend, so they canceled our game. And so I was just like, all right, man, I need to go get my arm checked on. So I go get my arm checked on, and it was broken, But I had played a game in high school my junior year, I think, maybe my freshman year. I don't know. One of those years. I basically broke an ankle, and finished the game, didn't miss time. So just kind of been who I am, and I tore my groin off the bone my second game of my junior year in college. And, it rushed me to the hospital, have emergency, surgery. And, I missed 2 weeks, from a groin torn off the bone. So they just kind of been who I am, man. And I got in the league. I just wanted to play, So anytime I felt like I could play, I was going to push myself to play. And anytime, I felt like, you know what, if I can put more treatment in, more whatever to get myself to feel better, then that's what I was willing to do, because I didn't want to take any one of those 16 games for granted. And I felt like if I could be out there, I wanted to be out there. So, and then once I kind of got going, man, I got up to 80-something games, then 90, and then I made 100. And then it's like, wow, man, I played 100, games. Or at one point, it was like 100 games in a row. I'm like, wow, this is crazy, Then I was like, man. So I went on this long streak, man. I think I ended at like 148 consecutive or something like that. So that was pretty cool.
I think that's awesome. And I think that's like the most underrated stat in football, being there to show up for your team. And you see stars and players today in general just being questionable out, for weeks and months. So I just wanted to congratulate. That's, incredible. And, I think that helped you earn your contract a year later with the Lions on a 5-year, $23 million. That's incredible. So, how important was that for you to finally, get your payday and, take care of your family?
It was very important. I mean, it kind of went into a lot of the different things that I believed in. Detroit really showed that they believed in me. They really wanted me. And, for me, that's kind of what I always wanted. I always wanted to play somewhere where, where I was wanted. You don't, sometimes people get caught up in just going somewhere that's cool or going somewhere that's, probably fun. But if the coaches don't want you, if the team, like, why go
Yeah.
there? I want to go somewhere where they want you. They're going to treat you right. And they wanted me, and they gave me opportunity. And, I took it. And, it was a great decision. I had a blast in Detroit. My career took off. It was awesome, man. I can't lie. And I tell people all the time, a lot of times you get signed or you get opportunity to go and play for teams that you played against, and that you probably play well against. So a lot of times you'll see guys in conferences or divisions, they'll just switch teams, right? Because they're playing against that team twice a year. And, if they're balling, then obviously they're balling probably in their division. So my fourth year in Houston, we played the NFC North. So we played against the Detroit Lions, and I had a good game against Brandon Pettigrew, and I had a good game. A couple pass breakups, some tackles, and then in week 16 that year, we played the Minnesota Vikings, which was a divisional opponent. And I had like 10 tackles, probably like 6 tackles for a loss on Adrian Peterson. Some really good one-on-one open field tackles against Adrian Peterson. And so for them looking at that, they're like, okay, well, Adrian Peterson is in our division and he's playing that well against them, because I'm pretty sure they watch, the Vikings game, and then they see, who's this guy making all these plays against Adrian Peterson? Oh, that's the same guy that was making plays against us. Let's take a deeper look at this guy. Oh, he's a free agent, actually. Okay, wow, let's take a look. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, man, you know what? We've done some research. We've watched some more film. Like, this is probably a guy that we can really, and so that's kind of how it happened, man. So I was very appreciative of it. I was happy for it, man. Like I said, they gave me a chance. And so I felt like it was my obligation to go out there and get him everything I had. And that's what I tried to do for, the time that I was there.
Yeah, and building off of that success in 2014, you were a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro. So what was it like being in like the top tier of NFL players, and what do you think led to your success that year?
It was cool, man, because you're trying to play for that respect. You're fighting for respect. You want to be respected amongst your peers, and so to lead the league in picks. I tell, I do say this because the NFL is the highest level, right? There is no football level higher than the NFL, and so I do say for 1 year in 2014. I was probably the best safety in the world, in the whole entire world. You know what I'm saying? And so that's actually pretty cool to me. To lead the NFL in picks is such a great league, some phenomenal players, man. So to be able to do that, that was huge. To be able to represent Detroit, that was huge, because we were fighting for respect, and any kind of respect that we can get, we were trying to get it. And the thing I didn't really like was the fact that I felt like I put together probably 2 or 3 more Pro Bowl caliber years, and I never really got recognized for that. And so it kind of felt like, for me, the only way I got recognized was because I led the league in picks, coming out of Detroit. And they did the top 100 that year, and it's always a blessing just to be in the top 100 in the NFL. But I was like number 88, and I'm saying, like, okay, they probably had 4 or 5 safeties, ranked higher. And I'm just like, I get it if we're talking, long term or career or things like that. But if we're talking the top 100 players of this year, you couldn't tell me that there was 5 or 6 safeties better than I was in 2014. So that's just kind of how it felt. You finally kind of get some recognition, get to go to Pro Bowl, make some All Pro, get that good stuff. But it was like, man, I felt like I had to freaking tear the world down just to get that. You know what I'm saying? You see other guys, they might have 2 picks or 3 picks. And next thing you know, they're Pro Bowlers just because, they play for certain teams in certain markets and, they have a higher national following, I guess. So, but nonetheless, it worked out, man. And, I was proud of that moment. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. I had the opportunity to take my dad to Phoenix. He always wanted to go to Phoenix. So it was cool.
I mean, that's an awesome experience. And in Detroit, you got to play alongside one of the premier cover corners in Darius Slay. What was it like to play with him during your time in Detroit?
Oh, man, Darius Slay, that's my little brother, man. I remember when I first got to Detroit in 2013, we ended up drafting Slay in 2013. So we basically came to Detroit together, and we were the guys that were there the whole time. Me and Slay, we were locker mates. Like I said, he's like a little brother to me. I've watched him grow. And I would like to say probably for Slay, you asked me about that mentor, taking you under your wing type of guy. I didn't have that when I first came in the league, but I would say I was that guy for Slay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was that guy to, and amongst some other guys, we had some other guys on our team, Rasheem Mathis, that, really did a great job helping Slay. But I was with Slay for 6 years. To this day, he'll even tell you he holds the record for the guy that played the most games with me in my whole football career, which is true. But Slay was he was great, man. He's a phenomenal athlete, tall, rangy, long arms, quick, confident, but the thing that I feel like helps him is he doesn't let his confidence get in the way of him wanting to be great and asking questions to be great. Sometimes guys are cocky or confident and they feel like they know it all and they don't want help. Slay was the complete opposite. He knew what he knew, and what he didn't know, he wasn't afraid to ask questions. And so that's a great trait. And, I love sitting here and watching him go out and play and make plays because I've seen him from, when he first came in the league and to now. And, he's a heck of a player, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the credit just goes to you as his mentor. You're the
No,
reason
no,
he's an
no, no, no.
all-star.
No, I mean, he put in the work. I pushed him in certain ways. I challenged him in certain ways. But at the end of the day, Slay's grown, and Slay had to decide to put the work in. He had to make the choice to listen. He had to make the choice to ask the questions. He had to do all that work. I might have gave him some answers on some keys or some clues or try to show him the way, but it takes 2 people. He has to be open to that. He has to accept that. And then he has to go out and execute the things that we're talking about on the field. And so he did all those good things, man. So I definitely can't take all the credit for Slay, man. He's worked really hard to be where he's at. And he's seeing some real good dividends.
I'll give you some of the credit. Why not?
Some of it.
Some of it. And speaking about your career in Detroit, in your last 6 years, which were all with the Lions, you had 19 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 37 pass defenses, 3 sacks, and 423 tackles. What was it like to have such a successful career with the Lions?
It was dope, man. I mean, I'm gonna be 100%. It was dope because it got to the point to where the fans always felt like GQ is gonna make a play. We're in a tough game. We're in a situation. I would hear people all the time like, "Man, it's GQ time. It's time for GQ finna come through and make a play." And then a lot of those times, I did. I was able to deliver with an interception or force a fumble or get a big pass breakup or a lot of times I was able to make that play. And so it felt good, man. Like I said, they believed in me. And so to trust that I could be the guy that, they needed, that they wanted, and then to go out and get results and the fans, enjoy it and support. It was fun, man. It was dope. I can't lie, man. I had a great time in Detroit. I love playing there. And yeah, man, those were some crazy numbers you called out right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I had a great time in Detroit, too. My Madden player was great. The Detroit fans loved him. We had a great career there, Glover. I'm telling you. It's a great city to be a part of.
It is, man.
Oh,
It
man.
is. Shout out Detroit.
Did you feel like you had a lot of pressure when it was GQ time?
Did I feel like I had a lot of pressure? No, not really. I didn't feel like I had a lot of pressure. Because like I said, to me, that's just what I do. It wasn't like I was gonna go and force something to happen. It was just at some point in the game, they're obviously they're gonna test you, they're gonna try you, and it's always gonna come down to who makes a play, right? A lot of times it's really 50-50, right? It's me against him. He got a chance to make the play, and I got a chance to make the play. And so my whole thing was, this is what I do, man. That's all I used to tell myself. This is what you do. Like, they throw the ball, you make plays on it. You mean a guy breaks out, it's an open field tackle, one of the hardest tackles to make in the NFL, right? You got the best runners running at you full speed. And I just tell myself all the time, like, this is what you do, man. This is what you do. This is what you signed up for. This is who you are. Just go out and do it. So I work that way. I practice that way. I push myself to be that guy, to make plays, especially in pressure situations, because that's what people remember. They don't really remember that tackle that you made in the first quarter. They're going to remember that one that you made in the fourth quarter to either win the game or to lose the game. That's what people remember. And so those are pressure moments, fourth down, fourth quarter, fourth and 4. Somebody got to make a play,
Yeah.
and being prepared and wanting that opportunity to make a play is really the biggest thing. So, like I said, man, I enjoy my time there, and I didn't feel the pressure, man. I just, like I said, that's just what I do.
Yeah, I feel like you have to want to make that play. I think that's where the confidence comes in. It kind of takes the pressure off. You're like, I want this ball. Like, throw it towards me. I need to make this play. I need to,
Oh, I mean, you have to be that way, I mean, I feel like in any sport, or in anything, you want those moments, but you only want those moments when you're prepared for it. You know what I'm saying? If you're in school, you don't want to take that test if you don't know the answers. If you don't quite understand that lesson or whatever, you don't really want to take the test. But the ones that you understand and you know all the answers, man, I feel very confident in, like, this right here. I got it. I hope the teacher give us a test today because I'm going to get to make a 100, right? But that's kind of how it is, and that's how it should be. When you prepared and you play and you do things a certain way, you should want the ball to come my way, and that's kind of what I try to teach my kids. It's like, they play baseball, and I'm like, who else would you want in that situation? If the game is on the line, why wouldn't you want to be the one in the batter's box getting to hit the ball, right? Because the work that you have put in. You don't know all the work that your teammates are putting in, especially at, this young level. But even at the pro level, you don't know what guys are doing it. You don't know how much film they watch when they go home. You don't know, I mean, the practice reps they get, the notes that they may take, but you don't know how much studying they actually do, but you know what you do. So who else would you want? I got to tell my kids, who else would you want pitching in the last inning to win the game? Like, your training, what you are built for. Why not me? Hit me the
Yeah.
ball because I know I'm going to get this out. If you hit it to somebody else, I don't know. I hope.
Yeah.
But if you hit it to me, I know myself. And so I feel like as a player or anything, like, you should want that. You should want, hey, man, this is what I am. This is what I do. When it's money time, give it to me.
Yeah.
So,
all of us at one point on this podcast, we all played baseball at one point. So I definitely think that's the mindset you have to have when you're playing baseball, just like you said. I think going back to football for a minute, in 2019, you officially retired from football. So what kind of went into that decision?
Well, I mean, I only wanted to play 10 years anyway. I always knew that it would take a lot to get me to play, past 10 years. I always knew that. And so after 2017 season, when the Detroit Lions fired Coach Caldwell, that kind of like hurt me, and then on top of that, I felt like 2017 was probably, outside of the year I led the league in picks, probably one of my best seasons. I had, 3 picks, I think, picked 6, had like 4 forced fumbles. Like I think when I led the league in picks, I think I was responsible for like 7 turnovers that year. In 2017, I think I was responsible for like 8 turnovers. So I felt like 2017 all around was probably one of my best years. And I made 4th Pro Bowl alternate, behind good guys, but guys that didn't even play. Like Cam Chancellor only played in like 7 games that year because he was injured. And, he made, so it just kind of took a lot out of me because I put a lot into it and I didn't get that recognition. Then they fired Coach Caldwell, and I just didn't really want to start over in Detroit, and that was my 9th year. So I was getting ready to go into my 10th year. And so I knew, I was like, man, I only want to play 10 years. I don't I really didn't want to go to a new city. And I knew I had to deal with a new coach, obviously, because they had hired, another guy in Detroit. And so I was like, man, you know what? I'm just going to see if I can get out of my contract, man, and at least try to finish back at home because I live in Houston. I started in Houston. And I was like, you know what? It'd be cool if I finish in Houston and retire here. And so that's really what I wanted to do. And, Detroit wouldn't release me or trade me or anything like that. So I had to play another year in Detroit. And, that last year was probably, like I said, I felt the obligation to the team, my teammates, people in the locker room, an obligation to myself because that was my 10th year, and I always wanted to play 10 years. And so once I got through with that season, I mean, even during midseason, it was like November. I remember telling my wife, like, man, I'm done. Like, the game just became – it wasn't as fun anymore. I was missing my family a lot. There were times I would sit on the sideline, be looking up at the jumbotron, be like, man, like, what am I doing, man? Why am I here? And so the game just became, like I said, it wasn't fun. I felt in prison. It was just a lot. And so I was kind of ready to hang it up. And it was, like I said, year 10. So I was happy. And, when Detroit released me, I was like, fine, that's perfect. And then I did say, you know what, the only way I would play an 11th year would have been if I had an opportunity to finish with the Texans, and they never offered me. And so I was like, well, I'm not waiting around to training camp to see if somebody get hurt and hopefully I get picked up. I'm like, nah, I did what I wanted to do, and I'm happy with what I've accomplished, and I'm ready to move on. So that's how it was.
I mean, I think I could tell from that how important Coach Caldwell was to you. And I think that perfectly leads us into the fan questions because the first one comes up from NYR News on Instagram. And he asks, how close was the bond between you and Coach Caldwell?
It was super close. Coach Caldwell, I did a live for him, and he talked about his upbringing, his childhood, and kind of the way he was raised. And, he was raised a lot like I was raised and a lot like my father was raised. So he reminded me a lot of my dad. He was very, very, very good man. But I just liked his approach. I liked how, he treated everybody with respect. He held everybody accountable. He was like, well, I'm gonna treat you like a man, and if you act like a child, then I'll find somebody else. But I'm gonna treat you like a man, and I'm not gonna stop treating you like men because some people want to act like kids. And so I really loved that. But another thing I really loved was I always, like I said, from the time I went to Detroit, from the time I went to New Mexico, I always wanted to go somewhere and be with somebody that believed in me, that felt like you can get the job done. You know, I never really was a prove you wrong type of guy. I just felt like that just took too much energy from me. Like, why do I got to prove you wrong? Like, there's so many other people in this world. Why do I got to take my time to say, I'm going to prove you wrong? No, I'm going to prove this person right. And that's what I want to focus on. You know what I'm saying? So when Coach Caldwell came in, like he said last night, his whole mindset was, these are my guys. Like, these are my guys, and I'm going to win with these guys. You know what I'm saying? That was his, and you could really feel that. You know, he put that confidence in everybody that, like, hey, man, you my guys. Like, we going to war with these guys. And so you felt that, man, I got to do it, man, because coach believe in me. Coach felt like I can do it, so I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times, you know, you can struggle with that when you try to prove people wrong. You can struggle with that, man, my coach don't even feel like I can do it, you know, as opposed to, hey, man, my coach feel like I can do it. I don't want to let my coach down because he believed in me. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how it was with Coach Caldwell and I. And, I mean, we had a great bond, great relationship. So, yeah, man, Coach Caldwell was he was my guy, man.
That's awesome. I mean, I feel the bond from here. And then next one from Holden Goldberg, and he asks, who's the toughest player you've ever guarded?
Probably Julio Jones.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Julio
I had him on
Jones.
my fantasy team last year.
Yeah, Julio Jones is good, man. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, you know. And I didn't even guard him as a corner. I played him more as a safety, and you know, having to just tackle him and things like that, man. Julio's a monster, man. I will say that.
Yeah. And then the last fan question before we jump into a couple rapids to wrap it up. The Four Line on Instagram also asks, toughest stadium you've ever played in, I guess on the road.
The toughest stadium, I don't know. You know, it's different for a defense, right?
Yeah.
Like defense, when you go on the road, you know, they're quiet, right?
Mhm.
Because the offense is out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So defensively, you don't really. There are no like tough stadiums like that.
I gotcha.
But I will say the funnest stadium that I played in probably would have been the new Minnesota Stadium.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's fun playing there. The first year we went up there when they had it built, we had you know, a thrilling game. I think we won in OT. I think that's the game that Golden flipped in the end zone in OT to win it. But yeah, you know, that was a fun place. I always, you know, the thing I liked about the NFC North was the historical, you know, stadiums. You know, playing at Lambeau Field, playing at Soldier Field. That was awesome every year. But yeah, man, the new Minnesota Stadium was dope.
All right, now we're going to move on to some rapid fire questions. And my first one was going to be, what was one of your favorite stadiums to play at? I guess you answered that right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that one was fun. But you know, if you say favorite, I would have to always go with the history. You know, I like Lambeau Field and I like Soldier Field.
Of course. So, well, technically my second rapid fire question is, do you have any pre-game rituals or superstitions that you used to do?
I guess the only pregame ritual or superstition would be the time that I got to the locker room. You know, I used to try to be in the locker room at a certain time before the game, you know, go through my little study routine, my stretching routine. I would always go out on the field for my pre-game warm-ups 2.5 hours early. I would always start my pre-game warm-ups 2 hours early, and then I would go in. So it was just kind of, you know, just my little routine every week. You know, get up, go to the stadium at a certain time, you know, and I was trying to get to the stadium like 4.5 hours early, you know. So if a game started at 1 o'clock, I was trying to be there 4.5 hours early. That gave me 2 hours to kind of sit around, relax, do last minute studying or anything like that, you know, treatment if I needed, and then be ready to go out. And so that was kind of it. You know, I wasn't a music listener, you know, anything like that. I just was a study. Let's get ready to play.
Yeah, I think that every professional player has some type of routine or superstition that they do. So moving on, what is your favorite sport to watch other than football?
Oh, Ooh, man, that's a good question because I love basketball, but I love baseball too. Um, so I would probably have to say in person, probably baseball. I love going to watch my kids play baseball. Um, TV, probably basketball.
I mean, we're huge baseball fans, so I got to know, who's your favorite team?
Oh man, well, my favorite team, I got to go with the Astros. I mean, I live in
Oh,
Houston.
Oh,
I got to
No,
go with the
Glover.
Astros. I got to go with the Astros. But I'm not a huge like just team guy. I love players. So I mean, I watch a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up a Astros fan, but I feel like I live here. I got a bun, so I do feel like I have to root for the Astros.
I
But
mean, just as Yankees fans,
yeah.
after that, it hurts. But I got you. You
yeah.
were born into it after you moved there and all.
Yeah, man. I I don't hold any grudges, man. I'm with the I'm with the people, man. So I root for the Astros. But like I said, I love a bunch of players. I like Francisco Lindor. I like Aaron Judge. I mean, I like players. I like to watch the guys play the game. I don't get so caught up into I'm a Astros fan, so I can't like other players or people or things like that. Nah, I just But like I said, if the Yankees and the Astros are playing, I'm going to root for the Astros. If the Dodgers and the Astros are playing, I'm going to root for the Astros. If the Astros are playing this time, I'm probably going to root for the Astros. But I don't think I got any Astros gear in my house.
Does that make you a Rockets fan for the NBA?
I do feel like I have to root for the Rockets at times, but I'm a LeBron James fan.
Okay, I got that.
So, and the reason why I have to say I'm a LeBron James fan because when he was in Cleveland, I was rooting for Cleveland. When he went to Miami, I was rooting for Miami. He went back to Cleveland, I was rooting for Cleveland. Now he's in LA. So I can't sit here and say, "Oh, I'm a Lakers fan," because I'm really not.
You're just a
I'm a
LeBron
I'm a
fan.
LeBron fan. I'm not a Heat fan. I haven't watched the Miami Heat game all year, but when LeBron was playing for the Miami Heat, I watched them all the time. So I like to say I'm a LeBron fan. Um, so if LeBron's playing against the Rockets, that's a tough one for me.
That's
Because I want LeBron to win, but then it's cool for the city to win, as well. So it's kind of a win-win for me.
Yeah,
I just kind of stay quiet and just be happy for both outcomes.
I like
Yeah, you
that.
got to root for the Rockets to win and LeBron to have a good game. So moving on, this is the last rapid fire question. We asked this to everybody. Do you have a celebrity crush?
No. No, I don't. I don't. Honestly, I don't.
Well, we've got tons of responses with that one,
Yeah.
all over the place. So there's a new one too.
I mean, we've gotten a ton of responses. One, even Jake Sutherland, an XFL tight end, gave us a man celebrity crush. So we've gotten
Wow.
tons of different
he
answers.
said the Rock.
Wow.
Listen, we weren't
Yeah.
prepared for that one.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't like. I mean, I respect those celebrities for who they are and what they do, and I guess being on this side, I understand what it is. A lot of times, what you see from celebrities, a lot of times is marketing. Because they have to sell either a brand or a product, or this is what they're known for. And then outside of that, they're just different. They're real people. And so for me, I try to look past the perception of what's really out there about them and be like, you know what, I wonder what they're like, for real. And so that's kind of how I am. So I don't really have like any celebrity crush.
I gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap things up here on the For the Win podcast. Once again, Glover, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the pod with us. It's been an honor, man.
Man, thank you guys for having me, man. It was cool, man. I love doing these, man. I love to talk and help out. So thank you guys for having me, and man, continue doing what y'all doing, man. Great work.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And all the viewers at home, make sure to follow us on Instagram at For the Win Podcast and on Twitter at For the Win Podcast _. And remember, that's the number 4, not the word. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts if you do enjoy. Other than that, it's been your boys. See you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Out.
Out.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.